Let's go to a AFC matchup. Is C.J. Stroud and the 7-5 Houston Texans traveling to Kansas City to take on Patrick Mahomes and the 6-6 Kansas City Chiefs. The Chiefs are favored by 3.5 points. It's an 8:20 p.m. kickoff. The over-under for this matchup is 41.5 points. The Chiefs have won 5 straight games against the Texans, but both of these teams are going in completely opposite directions. The Texans are 4-0 in their last 4 games, and the Chiefs are 1-3 in their last 4 games. So let's start off with the Houston Texans. As the Houston Texans are 7-5, they sit right now at 8th in the AFC, so they are right outside of the playoff race, and they're on a 4-game winning streak. And this 4-game winning streak started with David Mills. C.J. Stroud was concussed for a few weeks, and David Mills helped the Texans in C.J. Stroud's absence to win 3 straight games over the Jags, Titans, and Bills. And C.J. Stroud came back against the Colts, and he played decent in that game. C.J. Stroud, 22 for 35, threw for 276 passing yards, did have 1 interception. But honestly, we have to start with the Texans defense. Their defense has been elite. They are led by defensive coordinator Matt Burke, and we know their head coach, and DeMeco Ryans, is a defensive head coach. And this Texas defense is one of the best defenses in pro football. So far this year, these are the Texans' statistics as a defense. Opponents' points per game, 17 points per game. That's ranked first in the NFL. Opponents' yards per game, they give up 266 yards per game. That's ranked first in the NFL. And opponents' yards per play are 4.7. That's ranked 4th in the NFL. So this defense, led by defensive coordinator Matt Burke and head coach DeMeco Ryans, they are playing at an elite level, and it's the strength of their football team. You got Will Anderson Jr. as one of your pass rushers, Mario Edwards Jr., Danielle Hunter, Sheldon Rankins, okay? And in that secondary, you got Derek Stingley Jr. I think Stingley Jr. is one of the best DBs in the NFL. So this Texans defense, they are elite, and they are the strength of their football team. They really, really are. And the thing is about the Texans, if they can get some production from an offensive standpoint, it's almost to the point where if the Texans can score 21 points, they can win football games. And you got offensively, you got C.J. Stroud, okay, as your quarterback. And at receiver, you got Nico Collins. You got Jaden Higgins, okay? You got Xavier Hutchinson as well. I love their tight end in Dalton Schultz. I think Dalton Schultz is a proven NFL tight end who can make plays. So I like where this Texas team is going. They had a big win last week against the Colts in week 13. And right now, to me, the Jaguars and the Colts better be on the lookout for the Texans, because the Texans are rolling, and the Texans, they are trying to pull off another miracle. They're trying to do this season what they did in 2018. In 2018, the Texans started off 0-3. They finished the season 11-2. They made the playoffs. This season, they started off 0-3. Right now, they are 7-2. We'll see if they can make the playoffs. So I like how they're performing overall. And also offensively, I think the Texans' interior offensive line, they're doing a much better job protecting C.J. Stroud this season compared to last season. Last season, through the first 12 games of the season, plays pressure was 164, sacks allowed 25. This season, plays pressured 106, sacks allowed 14. So that Texans offensive line, they're doing a much better job protecting C.J. Stroud and even David Mills when he was the quarterback as well. And so I thought when I watched that game against the Colts, I saw Stroud trusting his offensive line, and that was something that the Texans struggled with last season. Last season, they struggled to protect C.J. Stroud. So far this year, they're doing a much better job as the season has went along. But I'm looking at the Texans' remaining schedule. Obviously, Week 14, they're in Kansas City. Week 15 and Week 16, they have winnable games against the Cardinals and the Raiders. That should be 2 wins for the Texans. But it gets tricky in Week 17 and Week 18. Week 17, they are in L.A. against the Chargers. That's a game they could possibly lose. And then Week 18, they are home against the Colts. So I think the last 5 games for the Texans, they have 3 games they could possibly lose. In 2 games, they for sure will win against the Cardinals and against the Raiders. So 9-8 doesn't seem far-fetched for the Texans. But if they can get to possibly 10-7 or 11-6, they will be a playoff team in the AFC. Now, let's switch gears. Let's talk about the Kansas City Chiefs. Obviously, the Chiefs, they are 6-6 this season. They are coming off of a Week 13 loss on Thanksgiving to the Dallas Cowboys. They lost that game 31-28. And I'm looking at the Chiefs. Patrick Mahomes this year, 22 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, 3,238 passing yards. He's completing 65% of his passes. When I look at the Chiefs overall offensively, I believe in their passing game. I think their passing attack with Patrick Mahomes as their quarterback, and you got receivers like Xavier Worthy and Rashee Rice and Travis Kelce at tight end. I believe in the Chiefs' passing attack. And their passing attack is ranked second right now in the NFL. They average 257 passing yards per game. So they're not losing games because of Patrick Mahomes and their passing attack. Now, their offensive line is banged up. It's banged up significantly right now, and that's been an issue for the Chiefs this year. It's been an issue, and I think that's also a part of the reason why Patrick Mahomes sometimes, he doesn't trust his offensive line, so he bails early on multiple plays throughout games. Like he just forgets about it and he takes off running because he doesn't trust that offensive line. And sometimes Rashee Rice and Xavier Worthy and Travis Kelce are open down the field, but because Mahomes is being pressured, he just gets outside of the pocket and he just makes plays with his legs and uses his mobility because that's what the Chiefs need. But their offensive line is banged up. Trey Smith is questionable heading into this game. Right guard, right tackle, Jawan Taylor is also questionable heading into this matchup. And that's the worst place you want to be as an offense, having a banged up offensive line going up against an elite Texans defensive front with Danielle Hunter and Mario Edwards Jr. and that elite Texans defensive line. If they can get after Patrick Mahomes, this could be a tough game for the Chiefs. I know the Chiefs have had the Texans number in prior years. They've won a few playoff games as well against the Texans, but that's going to be a key matchup. The Chiefs offensive line versus the Texans defensive line. That is going to be key because that Texans defensive front, they are the real deal. They are the real deal. They have one of the best defensive fronts in the NFL. Will Anderson Jr., Mario Edwards Jr., Danielle Hunter, Sheldon Rankins. If the Chiefs' offensive line does not protect Patrick Mahomes, they will not beat the Texans. Now, the thing is about the Chiefs also, on the flip side, their defense has struggled this year. I'm looking at the Chiefs' defense versus the Cowboys after their interception on the first drive. This is the Chiefs' defense against the Cowboys in Week 13 on Thanksgiving. 7 total drives, 1 punt forced. They gave up 451 yards. The Cowboys converted 9 for 15 on third downs, and the Chiefs didn't have a single sack or takeaway. A single sack or takeaway. And when you look at the Chiefs' defense this season, they have 22 sacks. That's ranked 27th in the NFL. 10 turnovers this year. That's tied for 26th in the NFL. They give up 5.6 yards per play. That's ranked 23rd in the NFL. And teams are converting on 43% of their third downs against the Chiefs. That's ranked 26th in the NFL. So defensive coordinator Steve Spagnuolo, Chris Jones, all-pro pass rusher, they have work to do on the defensive side of the ball. They have work to do. And I'm looking at the Chiefs' schedule. For their final 5 games, the Chiefs, they are home against the Texans in Week 14. Week 15, they're home against the Chargers. Week 16, they are in Tennessee against the Titans. Week 17, Broncos home. Week 18 in Las Vegas. I think the Chiefs have 2 games for sure that are locks. Week 16 against the Titans and Week 18 against the Raiders. But if they can somehow beat the Texans and improve to 7-6, I think they have a great chance to make the playoffs. But they got to win out. The Chiefs have to win out. They have no margin for error, and they have to finish 11-6 if they want to be a playoff team in the AFC. But with all that being said, I believe that Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid, and the Kansas City Chiefs will show and put on display their championship DNA. And I'm rolling with Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs to beat CJ Stroud and the Houston Texans. Give me the Chiefs 27, Texans 21 in a must-win game for both teams. But I got Patrick Mahomes 27, CJ Stroud 21 in a huge, huge AFC battle with major, major playoff implications. Chiefs 27, Texans 21.